Director Lather is absent and President Christensen.
Here. All righty. We don't have a public hearing tonight, and so we're on item 3, which is the board members' opportunity to remove items from the consent agenda if you wish. Anything?
I just have, there's one small typo that I don't think is worth pulling, and I'm trying to find that right now, but
I saw one too, and I can't remember what it was.
I have it marked. But, and, oh, yeah, he also had a question. So the management update, which is 4.5, there was a description under the Water Resources Committee about advanced clean fleet regulations. So maybe sometime in the future they can explain what that involves, like where our fleet is going and with electric vehicles and so forth. It doesn't have to be tonight. Also, there was a mention under operation and maintenance about the sanitary survey of the water system, and like it was their fourth bullet, and a deficiency list of items that need to be addressed. I'd like sometime an update on that. And then the hexavalent one, where was that? There was just one silly typo. If you look on page 33 of 38 of the entire packet, it's page 3 of 5 of the letter, and it's under comment 1C, 5th line. It says, has acknowledges. It should be a D instead of an S at the end of that. Okay?
That was it.
Sorry, I just didn't want a letter going out.
Been through a lot of eyes, but
I'm
thanks.
sure.
Uh,
So anyway, that's all. I don't have anything to really pull, but just those for future updates on those two I requested.
And I just had a comment to make, nothing to pull, but just on the production. So that's, let's see, page 25 of 38. This year's and last year's July production are almost exactly the same, but there's a slope coming from June to July on this year, whereas last year was not as much of a slope. So I wonder whether or not our water use is going to increase in August. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Okay, and I just wanted to compliment the letter on the very timely letter on the hexavalent chromium.
Yes, and Taj
Yeah.
was the author of that. So
Yeah, nice letter.
So if that's.
Make the motion. Oh, wait, public comment, yeah.
Okay, no comments?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agendas.
Seconded?
I will second it.
Does she have to say something about the
Yeah,
minutes?
you want to,
Recusal for the.
Yes.
for the minutes.
So, yeah, okay, recusal for there are three different minutes.
That'd be during her vote, right?
Yes, that's correct. Director Balboni, just recommend that when you vote, you just indicate your abstention from 4.1, please.
Okay. Should I do that right now?
When we vote.
Okay.
You can do that when we do the vote.
Thank you.
Director Balboni.
I vote yes, except for I will recuse myself from the minutes since I was not here. Thank you.
Vice President Jaffe,
Yes.
Director LaHue,
Yes.
and President Christensen.
Yes. All right. Oral and written communications. Does anyone from the public wish to speak at this time on an item that's not on the agenda? Any comments from the board?
I do have a few. Okay, so I'm still trying to learn how to use the iPad properly, but I think I can remember what I was going to say. the first thing is that NOAA's come out with a report or a forecast for El Nino to be very strong and average or above average for the winter for this area. It's, as I recall, something like 82 to mid 90% certainty on that. So we'll see what happens, but more rain is good. That's the first thing. The second thing is on the production reports, and this might already be happening, so let me know if it is. But on the production reports, the old style report where there was a weather index, that it occurs every quarter, is that it? Or is that not in the, what did we come to on that?
I can't remember exactly where we landed. I know we were trying to eliminate things that maybe no longer serve the board, but we can bring it back. It's just a little bit of effort balancing that, how often you think you might want it, but anytime.
Well, when I saw the increase in the slope from May to June, I was going, I wonder what the weather was like during that time. And so it does, and I think that the current form of the production is good, perhaps better for finance, because it's clearer on that, on how things have changed. But for in terms of what's causing the change, doesn't give any indication. So I'd like to see the old graph every so often, doesn't have to be every time. And if you'd like that in the form of a motion, I can make it in the form of a motion, or?
You can if you want. Also, in addition to that, because of the large drop, Water Resources is looking into what is that? Are other agencies experiencing that same delta and drop in usage?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to understand it better, whether it's weather driven or mass media or whatever. But we certainly can bring back the weather in.
Yeah, you might want to look into change in land use. At least in my neighborhood, there are not that many lawns left.
Right.
And it would be a great project for undergrad somewhere who's into GIS to act, or maybe it's already been done, to look at how how many parcels back, I don't know the right time frame, but sometime in the past had lawns and now they're low use plants or
Right.
whatever.
And we're certainly, I know we're not on the agenda topic, but certainly you can see that in the bell-shaped curve we used to have, where the big bell was the summer months and the usage would go way up, and that has flattened out. So that's certainly an indication of that. But what I hear you asking is for staff to do the weather index occasionally.
That's the first ask, yeah. And occasionally, maybe quarterly. Don't want to burden staff, but I do find it useful.
Well, there are a couple ways to look at that in a way. That this year was definitely influenced by heavy rainfall, don't you think, and cool weather, because it didn't even begin to warm up until July. But the larger pattern is also below. Water consumption or production is below expected during drought years, and that's in a way.
You have a better memory than I do of weather conditions because it's not on that plot.
Okay.
The weather index plot does.
I didn't start watering my yard, such as what's left of it until mid-July.
But I think you are correct. I think we're going to see that. But also, I know just the fog itself, when I was doing these numbers, it had like a 15% decrease in water usage impact, So that weather part does play a significant role in the outdoor water use.
And then one more thing, since today's packet was not as large as most, I started thinking about the rates and what information would be useful for the rates. And I went back to Sue Holt's analyses. She did that for 2011, 2012, where instead of just giving mean numbers, she actually showed the total distribution. So, and it was very helpful for me in formulating my thoughts about water use, who's using it, when are they using it. But that hasn't been done recently. And I'd like to see an update on that. And I will make that as a motion to see if other directors
I don't know if
think
we
it's,
can do that on oral communication.
Yeah, and there's no need for a motion on this. I think we can just, provide a request to staff, and then it can be brought back, Ron, whenever you feel is appropriate, consistent with the board's kind of direction.
okay. Well, I did look, and I had asked for an update before, and it said that, in the minutes that it was going to be brought back as part of the rate analysis, but it really wasn't. It wasn't as an in-depth analysis as Sue Holt did. And there's a few graphs in there. So actually, maybe a starting point would be just for Jennifer and I guess for Carla and Rochelle too, just to show some of the graphs that we were presented back before they were on the board, showing about water use and see, where to go from there.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna see if we can dig those up. Were they presented in a board packet? I know we looked at them and
Yeah, there was
okay.
one, and I can send it to you because
I'll start. If you get, I remember I worked with Sue on that, so
it was April 16th, 2013, agenda item 5.2. And it had a whole series of graphs. So that's what I've got.
Are you done, Bruce?
I'm done, yeah.
Yeah, just for, a couple things kind of came together, and then I had been reading about the initial regulations for direct potable reuse being put out there, which is interesting. The draft regs are out and are available for public comment. And then I happened to be listening to Marketplace on my way over here, and they had a little story about a brewery in San Carlos that was using purified water to make beer. And, some good things in the article, like where he mentioned purified water is purer than what they get from a lot of other places, but then they kept using terms like gray water and things that I'm like, just, incorrect, like details, So it was just, at least people are thinking about it, So I know years ago they had a contest down in San Diego for beer making with purified water.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was right on the way here. The NPR had.
That was the story I was talking about.
You're talking about that, yeah. There's legislation to make it legal. Yeah.
That's one of the things this man from Arizona, in conjunction to that, he rented or leased a big semi, put the water purification inside the van in the semi, and then the output was beer.
Okay. Anyway, things are changing.
Anyway, so that's really great. Okay, so is that anything from you? Okay, we'll move on to item 6, oral report from District Council.
Thanks, President Christensen. Yeah, just one item I wanted to mention this evening, and it relates to a case law that came down relatively recently involving East Bay Municipal Utility District. In that case involved a challenge to their utility rates, and the takeaway from the case was that a special 120-day statute of limitations, which is unique to municipal utility districts, applied to really any challenge to those rates. This is really important because historically, there has been a determination that generally the statute of limitations to challenge utility rates arises each time they're imposed, so that it's sort of a rolling continue statute of limitations. And any limitations period is really focused on the amount that can be sought in a refund action. This case clarified that that 120-day period, which was unique to East Bay Mud, applies from the date the rates are adopted, and prevents any further challenge. The reason I'm bringing it up for us is, you may remember there was legislation which was put forward by Aqua and others, which adopted a very similar 120-day statute of limitations for all water and wastewater rates adopted by local agencies, provided that the agency includes notice of the statute of limitations in its 218 notice. As we move forward with our proposed rate increase, we'll make sure that that similar language, is included in that notice. And, applying the logic of this case to East Bay Mud, it would create a hard 120-day statute of limitations for challenges to our rates. It's a really important win for local agencies, and I think also reflective of the importance of making sure that we're participating as a group in the legislative process. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Great, thanks, Josh.
And President Christensen, I'm not sure we did item 5. If anybody had any oral comment not on the agenda.
That's what we did.
Oh,
Where we, before.
Mm-hmm.
All right, item 7, administrative business. Additional and unconditional will serves, none. But item 7.2 is the oath of office for Director Balboni.
Thanks, President Christensen, and I have the privilege of administering the oath. And just for members of the public that may be watching, this is what we like to do. It's a ceremonial oath of office, but Director Balboni was officially sworn in prior to the meeting. So, Director Balboni, if you're ready, we can begin.
I'm ready.
Can you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, please state your name,
I, Jennifer Balboni,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and to the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
and I will well and faithfully embark upon
Discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties that I am about to embark upon.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, thank you for joining us. That concludes our meeting, the public part of the meeting. And so we will adjourn now to a closed session.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad.